What's going on, guys? Welcome to November's episode of Plus Club, the show where we play the games offered on PlayStation Plus throughout the month, and at the end of the month, we talk about it. My name's Seth, and joining me today, of course, is Chevy. Chevy, how you doing? Since we just watched the episode 9 of Dan to Dan, we just did a review. Go over to Tasteflix to check that out. If you're watching Dan to Dan, if you're not, check it out and check our reviews. And are you excited to talk about Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged, Ghostwire Tokyo, and Death Note Killer Within, the games we played in November?
I'm doing pretty good. I definitely had fun watching that. I won't go into more details. You should.
It was a fun episode.
To our opinions there. We also watched Ranma, which we haven't finished yet. Obviously, season's still going.
We're on episode 9 of that.
Is it 8 or 9? Yeah, I can't remember. There's some overlap when it comes to anime scheduling.
And in case you're curious, we're going to be watching the season of Ranma half and then doing a season review for that. But we're doing episodic reviews of Dan to Dan.
Yeah. And then, as far as the games go, I almost forgot about the Death Note one until you said it. So
yeah,
we did that pretty early.
We put some solid hours into it until I refused to play it any further. But stay tuned. We'll talk about it.
Yeah. But otherwise, I'm doing good. Yourself?
I'm good. I'm excited to finally talk about these. I'm excited to find out, or I already know, but talk about the games coming out in December and really excited to talk about our game of the month in the next episode, so stay tuned for that, which was Age of Wonders 4. I have some pretty interesting and nuanced opinions on that game after our all-day game we did for that. So, but yeah, with that, let's find out what our games for December are, the last month of PlayStation Plus. And those games are It Takes Two, Aliens Dark Descent, and Temtem, the return of Temtem. We've already recently played that for Game of the Month, so we'll be returning to that. We'll see if our opinions on the game itself changes, but we'll be able to review the PlayStation 5 experience. And according to somebody on the Discord, I think Psycho said it has cross-save and progression. So
that'd be convenient.
So yeah, I might not have to start from the beginning again, because a lot of times when I'm playing games on PC, we'll get something on PlayStation Plus, and then I got to start from the beginning. I play for like an hour or two just to get a feel for it, and then I leave because I'm like, this is counterintuitive to my progression on PC. So if it's the same save, that'll be cool.
Yeah. Definitely.
And Aliens Dark Descent, I'm actually really curious about. It's a game that I've been wanting to try, but never pulled the trigger because I heard okay things about it. It's like a strategy, like RTS type game, right?
Nope.
Or it's like a turn-based game.
I was thinking it was that game we already played, but apparently not. So.
No, I mean, I'd be happy to play that again, but I think we already got that on PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
And then It Takes Two. I've already played through. I already beat it. I've talked about it on the channel quite a bit, so if you follow the channel, you probably already know my opinion on it. I'm excited to get you to finally play it, though, because that's a game I've been wanting to play through with you. And so that'll be cool. We should just beat it, because I think it's only like a 8-hour game or something like that. It's pretty short. So, and once we start playing it, it'll be really easy to just keep going. It's I won't say anything more.
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
I mean, Temtem is. I mean, we like you said, we've talked about it. Yeah,
you could probably get a good guess on our thoughts on what they will be in December by going back and watching our review.
Yeah.
But if you want to find out, stay tuned.
Though fortunately that'll be an easy one, especially if it has the cross save. I'll be able to just kind of play a little bit and make a little progress on that as well. If that is an RTS, like you said it is, that's
I don't think it's like an RTS. I think it's more like what's that tactical game? I keep thinking of the Gears of War one, but there's other ones. Oh, XCOM. I think it's like that.
Okay. Well, I mean, I like that genre. So
yeah, same.
Could be fun then. And then I've been wanting to play It Takes Two. I played, I forgot the name of it, A Way Out with you, and that was a lot of fun. I liked that game a lot. So
yeah, that studio's really cool. I'm looking forward to their next game.
Yeah, so totally looking forward to that one. It's probably my most hyped of the three for sure.
Yeah, I hope a lot of people are hyped for it, and we'll play it if they didn't play it. Although that game did very well. So it's like millions and millions. Yeah, a lot of people played it. So it'll be cool to see more people who didn't play it have an opinion on it. So, but it is, in case you don't know, a hard cooperative game. And I don't mean hard in difficulty. I mean like you have to play with somebody. If it's on PlayStation Plus, I'm sure that'll be easy to do. But I do think they have like a code system where if you have the game, you can give somebody the code and they can play with you as long as you're playing. So yeah, make sure you have somebody to play with, because there's no computer that's gonna play with you. So yeah. Anything else?
Nope.
Listen in the comments what you guys think about the games coming out in December. Are you excited for them? You're not excited for them? They're actually going to be coming out really soon, luckily, because this week's landing early in the month. So, and it's Tuesday these come out typically. Yeah. So
after they're announced.
Yeah, so it's already December 1st right now. So that's good. But yeah, let us know what you think in the comments below. All right, we played 3 games this month. Those 3 games, again, were Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, Turbocharged, Ghostwire Tokyo, and Death Note Killer Within. Let's just get Death Note out of the way. So if you didn't get a chance to play Death Note Killer Within, it is a social deduction game similar to Among Us. In the game, there are 2 teams. One team is comprised of I think their name's L, and they're a detective, and their team is a bunch of like investigators working for him. The other one is
Light or something like that.
No, I think that's L.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember the names of these characters.
I never watched Death Note. So.
He's got some name, but he's the dude with the Death Note who's killing people, and then he's got people working for him who are stealing IDs. Basically to start taking people out, and you're trying to identify this dude through walking around, talking to people, doing odd jobs that keep you busy so that people can take your IDs and work against you. I think it was 6 or 8 people.
I think it was 8.
I think it was like 8. There's a shitload of people. And yeah,
10.
Maybe it was 10. I don't know. It was a lot. It was a lot. And one team is the dude with the Death Note and his 2 underlings, I think, or just one. I think it's just 2 of them. I think it's him and his underling, and then the other dude. And anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, so social deduction, you're trying to find out who's who before the other team wins. And similar to Among Us, where people hit the button and you start exchanging information and voting people out. In this, you go to like an investigator room and you start putting out information, and then you can arrest somebody. If they're not the right person, it'll chain them to you, which is really interesting. I had the whole team vote me out, and I was just chained to a guy. And then I had to still do missions, so that was kind of interesting.
I didn't go through that. It's interesting.
Yeah, one of my first games, everybody just voted for me instantly. I'm like, I haven't even done anything. And so I was just like handcuffed to somebody. And then, I think that's basically it. Oh, there's like a battle pass. There's cosmetics. I think this game probably only exists. Should make some money off of those before it goes down. But... and you get cosmetics, and you get to decorate your character, Death Note stuff. What do we think?
Yeah, so I don't have an affinity for the IP, so I didn't
Same.
really have any, I don't know, hype going into this, because I'm not the biggest fan of the genre of game either. I think Among Us is fun enough, but that's about the extent of it. Having seen a bunch of these games via streamers and watching you play some of them as well, the game didn't seem as polished, especially going through the tutorial. And then in practice, it proved that it was not. So I do want to start off with saying I do think there are some ideas in this game that are pretty good and could have been a lot of fun. I don't think the execution was very good, and not even like heavily in the gameplay loop, though that definitely needs some tidying, cleaned up to, I think, be a little more streamlined of an experience. I think the matchmaking is a complete disaster.
Yep.
Played a little bit, obviously, like by myself and the tutorial and stuff like that, learning how to play, and then me and you played co-op, and I think we tried to get into a game 6-7 times, and a couple of times we did get in, but as soon as someone dropped, the game's over.
Yep.
And it has to start over.
Yep.
And that is such bad design. Spent most of our time waiting and not playing, which was a huge buzzkill right off the bat. So once we finally got into the game, I do think the idea of like trying to you basically have two hidden people on each side. So it's not like Among Us where you're just looking for the bad guy. The bad guy's looking for the good guy.
The teams are playing against each other, yeah.
And I think that's a fun dynamic to introduce to the game. And both teams have like a point system that kind of builds up as well. So if you can't find each other, whoever gets their points to the end as well also is the winner. I can't imagine a game lasting that long because someone gets bored and leaves and the game is over. So
yeah, multiple times somebody would get bored or they'd get upset because somebody wasn't doing something that they wanted and they would just leave the game. And when one person leaves the whole game, it shuts the game down and you're back at the lobby.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's fucking insane. We made a really good effort to try, like for like a couple hours we were like just trying to play. And most of the time we're in the lobby, everybody's queuing up, readying up, and then someone leaves. And it goes, oh, and then it just stops the countdown. And then someone else comes in, they ready up, and then another person just fucking leaves. And then you get into the game, and whether you're playing for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or whatever, somebody leaves, and the whole game goes.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I can't even play this game because it's dependent on everyone's agreeing to stay here.
Yeah.
Which they should.
It's pretty crazy.
They queued for it. But, you know, whether someone's mom came in and said, you need to go fucking do the dishes,
get the role they
or
wanted.
someone got pissed, so they didn't get what they wanted, because you can pick what role you want, but also just hit random, which I did. And then, you know, if people aren't playing on your team as good as you want, and it's going bad, you know, you fucking just leave. And then any of these circumstances will just reset the whole game for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. So I feel like the best way you could play this game is if you just knew every single person who was playing with you, which we didn't do that. I don't know if we could get that many people to play this game.
Yeah, that'd be a tough one, I think.
It'd be hard to convince people. Like they're not doing a show for PlayStation Plus games, so what the fuck would they play it for?
Yeah.
And then it's a Death Note game, but it's like barely Death Note. It just has characters from it. Yeah. So like, what's the selling point? Like, you want to play this weird, random, like kind of overly complicated social deduction game?
Yeah, it's more akin to just being a board game than it is being Death Note. And
like you were saying, sorry, I'm just kind of going off, but like you said, there's some cool ideas here, and if they made a better game, it would stand out in the social deduction world because they did a bunch of things different here.
Yeah, definitely.
But the execution's fucking terrible. The systems are like sloppy. It's overly complicated. I feel like you could streamline a lot of these things to make them a little more simple. And then, with people just dropping out stuff and completely resetting the game, you can't even play it enough to get good at the game. So you're already like, how's this work? How's this work? I think I'm doing the correct thing. It's telling me to do this. So I'm doing it. But then it resets and you're like, I think we're doing good, but it doesn't even fucking matter.
Yeah, and they even had the forethought to, and I know Among Us does this as well, but there are, if you don't want to talk, there are plenty of automated things you can select from to communicate, and they're pretty detailed. So, they put some effort into the ideas, but the game design is just not good. So, which is unfortunate because, I was trying to give it a fair shot. I had zero expectations for it. Yeah, so
we did give it a fair shot.
So I think it really is held back by a couple major problems in my eyes. So.
And I think those problems are there because this game was probably not developed for very long. I think it was a quick idea to get sometimes you get anime games that are really well done. Sometimes you get anime games that are really cheap.
Yeah.
This is a cheap one. I think somebody at whatever studio this was had kind of an idea for a social deduction game. They had some rules in their head, and then they're like, tie it to a brand so we can sell it.
Yeah.
Death Note, I guess. Okay, it has to do with the Death Note. You got to investigate each other. And then they put it out, and they're like, this game's not going to fucking last. So put a battle pass in there, put some other cosmetics in there. Let's make some money off this. Hopefully recoup the cheap amount of money that we put into the game before it goes under. And this game will be dead in 6 months. But I just think I don't think whether it's the dev or the person over them didn't care enough about this game. It doesn't feel like anyone cared about this game. Even with the art style, you can get some characters that look like they're from Death Note, but all the main characters are like really fucking weird and bizarre looking and really cheap and simple. And the maps are really cheap and simple looking. So everything about this game just screams like low effort outside of some of the ideas. So whoever the idea guy is who's proposing the idea for this game, they had some rules in their head for a board game they should make, but
it actually probably would function as a board game pretty good.
Yeah, but as a game, it's very rare I play a game on PlayStation Plus for this show that I feel like I'm wasting my time with, and I fucking wasted my time playing this. I feel less.
I don't usually feel that way either.
Yeah, well, I would have just played a bad game. That's fine, but the way the fucking networking is set up, where you can't continue the match no matter what. It doesn't bring in a new person or anything like that. It was a waste of my time. Yeah. Couldn't even play the fucking game because of the way they designed it. So not only is it a bad game, in my opinion, with some interesting ideas. In case you're a fan of the game, I'm never looking at anything one dimensional, but yeah, not only did I not like this game, but also it's like they made it difficult to play.
Yeah,
which is stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
That's it.
Is there anything I didn't touch on? I don't like the visual style. I think it's cheap and lazy looking. I don't care about Death Note. That won't go into my grade, but that's just from my perspective, so you understand. It doesn't do anything for me.
Right. There's no drama.
And then the tie-in with it, I already kind of went over my theory on that, but it's very loose. It's just a social deduction game that you can kind of go, yeah, it's Death Note. I think they kept the objectives simplistic, which is good. That's one thing I like about Among Us is it's more about the social deduction than the activities. They just keep you busy so the game can move forward.
And blind sometimes.
Yeah,
right?
and so
this game does that too.
Yeah, there'll be like a body on the ground. You got to investigate it, but while you're doing it, you don't get to look around you, so somebody can come up and take your ID. So it gives them opportunities if they're playing smart. Although a lot of people just kind of like walk up to you and it's like, "What are you doing?" And
well, it's because some of the missions are follow this person around too.
Yeah, that is true,
So,
but it doesn't tell you because I've had just random guys walk up to me and I'm like,
yeah, and they're probably trying to complete a mission.
Yeah,
but it's hard not to be suspicious. Obviously.
Yeah, exactly, and that's probably why I got locked up instantly. I was like, I didn't do anything weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't like the game, and I feel like I wasted my time with it. And like I said, I don't think this game will last. I don't think they expect it to be honest. So it feels like just like vaporware. Like just like put it out there, let it do its thing. If we can make some money, cool. When it dies, we move on. So if it does get life and it lasts, cool.
Yeah.
Good for it. But I can't, especially with how the match is reset. I can't. No one's gonna get invested in it. So yeah, nothing else.
Nope.
All right, let's jump into recommendations. If you have played all the social deduction games and you are just fucking bored of all of them and you just really want a new one, even if it's not a good one, I would let you know this exists, but I don't know if I'd recommend it to you. I wouldn't tell you, you should check that out. But if you're like, dude, I just can't find any, I've done them all, I just need a new one, I'd be like, that Death Note game exists.
It's there.
You could check that out if you want. That's as far as... and then I don't know how much love Death Note has to the point where people will blindly play a game like this. But if you're a Death Note fan, I'd be like, did you play the officially licensed Death Note game? You might like it. I don't know. I don't know what you guys like. So
I mean, it has a pretty big fandom, but yeah, I don't know if
they're clamoring for this game.
Strong enough.
Yeah.
So.
I saw people buying cosmetics in the game, so
yeah.
People are spending money, but some people have more money than others. So
True.
Those are my recommendations.
I mean, I got nothing to add. It's a pretty, like, it's in its own little pocket for sure. Like, it is definitely for people. It's definitely banking on people liking Death Note, and it's definitely banking on people going, oh, it's like Among Us. So
yeah,
that's basically it. That's what it is. So
yep. Jumping to grades, I'm going to give this a D-. I can't give it an F because it works, and when it works, there's some ideas there. But because it is rendered unplayable by other people, which isn't necessarily, I mean, it's bad design, but it's not their fault. It's the player's faults. I can't give it anything higher than a D- because because of their design, I can't play the game as it's intended to be played, which feels like bullshit. It's really annoying. And it's already a game that I think is already pretty lackluster. So
for sure.
Solid D-. I would love to give it an F, but that'd be unfair. So
I'm going to 100% echo what you just said. I was thinking D- the whole time because you can't play. I mean, maybe someone has better luck than us, but
or you're playing with your friends.
We had a rough night trying to get into even just a game.
It was annoying.
But the game does, like, there's no crashing, no blah, blah, no, like, actual technical issues. It's just
it functions.
A design problem, right? But the game functions. So I bare minimum have to give it D-, and that's what I feel like it deserves. So
yeah, I've only given Fs to a couple games, and mostly it's because they're actually broken. So
for sure.
I can't play your game because it's broken. It's failed. So. But it's close. It's close. It almost is unplayable, but
that was a rough one.
Yeah, I was getting annoyed, which is very rare for me. All right, well, that's 2 D-. Let us know in the comments what you guys think about Death Note Killer Within. Did you like it? Did you not like it? If you didn't like it, why didn't you like it? And if you did like it, why'd you like it? Especially if you like the game. Make a case for it. It doesn't have to be combative. You don't have to convince us why we should like it. Just let us know why you like it. I'm curious. Maybe there's some redeeming factors that we didn't see. Maybe there's some tricks on how to stay in a match outside of having 8 or 10 friends to play with. And let us know your thoughts in general when it comes to Death Note Killer Within. Next game we played this month was Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged, which is the sequel to Hot Wheels Unleashed 1. And it is a arcade racer where you play as Hot Wheels, racing on Hot Wheels tracks that have loop-de-loops, boosts, energy to gain from the track, perilous parts of the tracks where you can fly off and have to reset at the cost of your progress in the race. It has an elimination race type, which I was enjoying games where you have to stay in the lead or otherwise you get eliminated. Has some like free roam type racing. It has a campaign mode where you kind of just go down roads, do races, different activities. You get points. You're able to spend those points into your cars to upgrade them. You also can decorate your cars with different, is it liveries?
Yeah, I think so.
Colors, stuff like that.
Which has a social aspect as well.
Yeah, you can buy rotating every, hour?
45 minutes.
45 minutes. Yeah. Cars. If you want, you also get tokens to spin to get random rewards, including cars and other things. It has a track editor that's very idiot-proof, very very easy to use. The tutorial is much better than Death Note Killer Within, and it steps you through. It makes you make a track and steps you right through it, so you just know exactly what to do. And yeah, I don't think you can decorate a room like you could in the first game.
I didn't see it.
In this, if you can, let us know in the comments, but I thought that feature was kind of interesting in the first game, but not really needed, so makes sense it wasn't here.
It's just kind of cool when you, there were some courses where, you raced through the room.
Through your room, yeah.
Used your setup that you had made, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
And then, you can just do races if you don't want to do the campaign, and it also has online multiplayer. I didn't do that. I think it has split screen as well. And yeah, it's a really fast-paced arcade racer. We both played it, and I think I go first this time.
You do, yeah.
So I really liked the first one. It was a huge surprise for me because I'm almost 40. I don't really care about Hot Wheels anymore, so it's not on my radar.
True.
But I had Hot Wheels as a kid, so there's some connective tissue there. But I was really surprised by how good the first game was. I don't even remember what I graded it, but I'm sure it was pretty high because I still view it fondly. And going into this month, I was like, oh, cool, we're playing the sequel. I kind of wanted to buy that because how good the first game was, but I waited because I assumed it'd be on PlayStation Plus. Here it is. And I'm happy to say I really enjoyed this game. It's really weird how solid of a racer this is. If you take the skin of Hot Wheels out and throw it out the window and just put some normal cars and some crazy tracks, you would have probably one of the closer games to Burnout that we've had in years outside of the crazy crashes. The game is super fast-paced, has a bunch of cars with different stats that control differently, upgrades to those vehicles, tracks that actually keep you busy mentally. You're constantly thinking because you're trying to hit jumps. You're trying to hit triangle to jump sometimes.
Recharge your boost.
Use your boost. You're drifting constantly. You're able to ram left and right or into other cars and knock them off. The cars all have physics, which were way worse in the first game. This game feels much more fair. In the first game, there was multiple times where I'd be driving too quickly. I'd hit a wall too hard, and the car would flip off the side of the track. This doesn't happen as much, even though sometimes when you're in the air, you feel a little floaty. But then there's also something that happened in the first game where you would launch from one track to the next one, and while you're in the air, you better fucking aim your car correctly. Because you could just go right off. This game has it feels like a soft, trying to keep you in the air towards the track. I didn't run into it ever. In the first game, I'd fly off the track all the time, going off the jumps. But in this, I always land on the track. So they did a couple tweaks to just make the racing feel more seamless and smooth, which I really appreciated. But yeah, the racing is really fucking fun. It's better than the first game, which is really cool. And so weird that when I'm thinking about arcade racers I really enjoy, it's Forza Horizon, which is tippy top AAA. And then this game is really fucking solid. It's it's weird how other people are making arcade racers like this. It doesn't even have to be Hot Wheels, but the Hot Wheels thing is fun because you buy new ones. They all look like the ones I remember from my childhood, and some I've never seen before. I had a car that was like a shark, which is just so ridiculous. So obviously, when you're a kid, you're probably "Fuck yeah, I got the car shark," or shark car. But now I'm just why am I driving that? And its balance is weird too in the air because of its shape. It actually has weight. There's actually upgrades where you can lighten your cars and stuff, which I didn't like because my car got a little too crazy in the air. But yeah, the racing's really good. The tracks are super varied. There's I think 6 hard locations and 3 more you can buy through DLCs. But you can tell that I assume they just took the editor that they have and made all these tracks in the same locations, because I didn't really replay a whole lot of tracks. All the tracks are always fresh, even if it's the same location. There's a backyard, there's an arcade, there's all these different locations where you're driving through a kitchen or whatever. And they're always fun. One thing I really like about this game too, I kind of already touched on it, but obviously the racing is really fast paced and really fun, but also the course obstacles are another thing you have to pay attention to. There's things swinging across the track that'll knock you off. They don't kill you, but they'll knock you off the track. You have to go back so you hit the checkpoint you missed.
It's a little similar to a Mario Kart, or if anyone played the Final Fantasy VII Remake, the chocobo racing. So.
Yeah, without the blue shells and stuff. You're just driving. But yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of things. There's parts of the track where there are jumps that will launch you, and then there's sometimes you have to hit triangle to jump. There's one track in the first area towards the end that there's a table, and then the track goes across it, but it has open areas, so you have to jump both times, which is pretty cool. So that's solid. I was also pleased to see that every car has its own upgrades, and you can only have a certain amount of them, and if you have, I think there's 2 different colors, and if you have 4 of either color, you get an extended perk as well on each car. So there's some stuff to tinker around there to, maybe you really like this car, you can make it even better, but you can also make it not the car you enjoyed in the first place. One of the cars I used, I really liked, but then when I upgraded it too much, it became too light, and I had too much control in my drift. To the point where I was moving really well while I was drifting, but when I had to course correct to start driving straight again, I'd still be kind of control. Yeah. And I'm ooh, this is too much. So I had to kind of go in there and tinker around. So there's some depth to the cars, which is interesting. Yes, the racing's solid. Upgrades are cool. A variety of cars is plenty. And then the track editor, I put a little bit of time into it, but I didn't want to waste too much time just making a track. But I wanted to touch it because last time we reviewed the first one, I didn't touch the editor at all.
Opposite for me. I did in the last one, I didn't in this one.
So I messed with it. It's super simple, but has enough freedom to really get intricate and creative with the tracks. It's just maybe you can put them piece by piece down the pieces of the track, but the way it works is you basically put a start point wherever in your map. You can put it however you want, and then from there you just extend the track, pick what kind of track you want, and if you want things on there, and you can turn it any direction, up, down, left, right, corkscrew, loop-de-loop, whatever. And then you just keep going until you hit the back of that start area and complete your track, and then you have to drive this little tractor guy through it to make sure it's raceable.
Similar to Mario Maker.
Yeah, which is good because you're probably going to put these online or something. So It's a good fail-safe for that.
Yeah, I like when games that I like to create stuff make sure that before you release it to the public that it is a functioning thing, because it not only, you know, reflects on you, but it reflects on the game if there's just a bunch of busted tracks.
Yeah, and people are going to want to try and break their game.
Yeah.
People are always going to try and find a way to exploit
For sure.
Systems in a game. And if your game is full of maps that are unplayable because people are just fucking around or leaving unfinished projects they've uploaded because they're like, oh, I don't care, it's going to make everything kind of suck for people who are legitimately just trying to play with people's stuff. So, yeah, it's a good thing. And it also makes sense why they kind of make you start the track and have to end it. So they have control on you completing that track, and it's, you do something weird in there. But yeah, I think that's about it. There's a story. I did not pay attention to it at all. I skipped every cutscene. So if you don't respect my opinion on this game, that's fair. That's fine. If you are upset that I didn't pay attention. Anyways. Yeah, exactly.
You should always listen to people who, make sense for you. So
yeah. Just that maybe there's a big Hot Wheels fan out there who's like, you didn't even fucking pay attention to that story, dude. It's like, it was deep. Amazing.
It was so deep.
Yeah. I just saw a bunch of cartoony characters talking about Hot Wheels stuff, and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to go race. That's what I want to do here. So, but yeah, overall, I really enjoyed myself. Here's an endorsement. I bought the game for my Steam Deck.
Oh, yeah.
So it was on sale for $10, but I was like, after this month is over, it'd be really cool to play that on my Steam Deck. So yeah, I bought the game. So
yeah, mission accomplished for them.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, I agree with everything you said. So just to kind of, I guess, add some stuff onto it. One of the things that you had brought up that I was thinking about the whole time, you made a comparison to Forza, and my brain went there as well, because I was like, there's not a lot of people just making these, I'm just gonna call them fun racing games. And obviously I mean fun in like the zany idea department, not in like I'm enjoying myself, because there are people who enjoy playing a sim racer and that's fun for them. So
yeah.
And it just kind of takes me back to like the Nintendo 64 era, where everyone was making these like zany like racing games, and it was a lot of fun. I played a lot of racing games back then because it was just goofy and a good time. This is 100% in that, and Forza is also in that, even though it has some grounding, where they come from, obviously.
But it's a game that's focused on exploration, driving fast, and getting cool stuff,
and keeping you like going, because they're trying to just make it a fun game. And you don't want to put it down, right?
Yeah. Whereas you play a game like Gran Turismo, it's a different kind of game.
Or Motorsport, right?
Yeah, so. where you're going into menus, tinkering around with stuff, trying to build the best car because you want to have the most optimal car that goes through the tracks the best. You want to learn the tracks really well because the game's more strict. And then like in this in-between area, especially nowadays, even though we don't got much of them anymore, arcade racers are trying to be realistic, but also be arcadey in the way they control. Cheap too, but a lot of arcade racers nowadays are still trying to look and seem like a realistic racer, but have mechanics and stuff that are more arcadey, and that middle ground kind of sucks. Because I'd rather, and it's fine, it exists, I like the variety, but if you're gonna go for like realism, make a sim. And I'll play it for that. I'm playing it for the realism. And if you want to make like an arcadey racer, make it fucking wild, because that's also fun. But you got to lean into one side more than the other. Sure. So people kind of play the middle. Those games bore the shit out of me. So
yeah. So yeah, this been honestly for me, like I like race games to an extent, but they never like really keep me. And realistically, neither will this or Forza, but I do have a tendency to lean towards them when I do decide I want to play a racing game, because I just kind of want to have fun. I play games mostly to relax. There's some games I'm gonna try hard on, but it ain't racing games. So I really appreciate that. I like the variety. Obviously Hot Wheels makes that really easy, but like you had brought up, you had a shark car. I ended up getting a Snoopy car where it's just him on top of his doghouse. I thought it was pretty funny. I also think the rotating shop is a fun way to like, to do it, because it is random, but at the same time, it's not like, it doesn't feel like a gotcha system, right? You visit the store when it restocks, and you can force a restart with a little bit of your currency as well. So you just can, the more you race, the more currency you get, the more you can sit there and just buy a bunch of cars. Plus, it's easier to do shopping when you only have 6 options versus a catalog, right? So I don't know. It's a good system. Obviously the best would be to just give you everything accessible right off the bat, but I understand also why they don't do that. They want to add a little bit of that, quote unquote gambling feeling in there. Because that works on a lot of people.
In the first game, I don't remember if you could probably buy cars. I don't remember though. But in the first game, you did a lot of spinning the wheel to get stuff. And in this game, I kind of like that some of it is just like you choosing to buy stuff, but then because it has a rotation, unless you force it, you kind of have to just keep coming back and checking. So there's that element of excitement of like, oh, what's going to be in there today? But then also you are being rewarded for playing the game by getting those tokens to spin. So you're getting, 2 different modes of like excitement and progression in terms of like collecting these cars. So.
Right. And then of course they're banking on you buying these small DLC packs to fund the game more, because there were 6 free ones when I checked for the month. Hopefully they're still there, and if you're just now finding out, go check real quick. But then there was a bunch of other ones, and they're just like these little card and cosmetic packs and stuff. So but anyways, to get back to the game itself, overall I think it plays really well. I think it is a fun time. I think it's easy to get into as well. So they did a good job of just like making it accessible, which I appreciate. And and then everything you said, I agree with those things. So
So nothing else?
Nope.
All right, jump into recommendations. I would recommend this to anybody who likes arcade racers. Anyone who likes racing in general, but if you're just like a sim racer strictly, this isn't going to do anything for you. But I feel like if you just like driving things fast, you'll like this game. I don't care if you like, unless you really hate Hot Wheels for some reason. If you can get past that, the game is fucking solid. It's a lot of fun and offers a lot to collect. It has progression. It has a track editor. You can edit your cars or decorate them.
Profile placard and stuff as well.
You get
have cosmetics.
They did a good job on just rewarding you with stuff constantly, which is how you keep someone like me playing a game. And so, if you like that, definitely recommend it to you. High recommendation. I think you'll have fun, especially if you miss. You brought this up. If you miss the racing games of old, like Rush or whatever, for N64, you'll probably appreciate this because it's like one of the only games that's doing stuff like that. And then another loose recommendation, if you're somebody, although this game can be kind of challenging, if you have like kids or something, I think they could appreciate this game as well because it's not hard to understand. It's pretty simple in theory. Like
they're definitely shooting for fun. So
yeah. It's just a fun racer. Some of the obstacles on the tracks can be kind of rough, but you can put the AI on easy. I played on normal, and I was still kind of smoking the competition. So, but yeah, I think if you had kids, this could be fun for them as well. So, I think it's good for everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I got nothing to add to that.
Okay. You grade it.
All right. I think they should bring back the room thing because I think customization is a good thing and it was fun. But that's honestly my only complaint. So I'm going to give it an A-. I think it is a solid game. I think, like you said, anyone could play it. Now, whether they enjoy it, obviously, is up to them. But I think anyone could give it a shot fairly. And just bring back the room. I thought that was a cool feature. Why'd you take it away?
Yeah, unless it's there and I didn't see it.
Yeah, same.
Maybe it's in the map editor now or something, and I just didn't see that feature. So
yeah, it was just pretty obvious in the first game.
Yeah, it was like a whole thing. You like clicked like design your room, and I was like, okay.
And it'd just be a good place to add more customization, put little trophies and posters and whatever in, right? You can make up all sorts of crap for that. So
yeah. I'm also going to give it an A-. I really like it. I think it's super solid. I don't think I could give it a B range just because it's like better than most arcade racers right now. So it's like, what do you give it? But I can't go like A+ or even A really because like I'm not super in love with it. They just fucking nailed it. They just made a really good arcade racer. I feel like there's definitely room to improve it in some ways, but like it doesn't really have any negatives to me outside of like sometimes the physics feel punishing but not unfair. Your car has physics, it has weight, so like you have to pay attention to that.
Off a loop-de-loop
and when times. Oh dude, one car I never had that issue. You could, and then another car I was driving, wasn't going around the loop-to-loop fast enough, and I wasn't boosting. I assumed you just stick to it, and I would just fall down. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And I was like boosting through. I'm like, oh, okay, it's just a different car with different weight. So it's something you gotta kind of pay attention to. But yeah, super solid game. Really enjoy it. I bought it, so I'll definitely play it some more. So
yeah,
really liked it. Let us know in the comments what you guys think about Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged. Did you like it? Did you not like it? If you didn't like it, why didn't you like it? And if you did like it, what did you like about it? What are some of your favorite features, favorite kinds of races? What kind of cars did you prefer to drive? And how do you think this game stacks up to the first game? Maybe it's lacking some features that you liked from the first game. Maybe it's better in every single way. And here's the main question that I want to ask you guys. What's a good arcade racer nowadays? One that's come out in like the last 5 years? There's not a whole lot of them. So if you know of one, let me know, because I'm a big fan of this, and I like Forza Horizon. I can't really think of anything else. Why have they made a new Burnout? That's not shit. Just make it like the old ones. Make it like Burnout 3. Just with new graphics that are like better and better crash stuff and destructibility and stuff like that. That'd be fucking sick. Everybody would buy it. Anyway, let us know in the comments below what you thought of Hot Wheels. Last game we played was Ghostwire Tokyo. If you didn't get a chance to play Ghostwire Tokyo, it is a first-person shooter, technically, where you are a dude in Tokyo after 99% of the population has disappeared randomly. You're trying to unravel that mystery while dealing with your own personal stuff. And yeah, there are now monsters of folklore, Japanese folklore, that have invaded the city, and you fight them using magical abilities with your hands. You shoot stuff with your hands. You can charge up abilities and shoot them. There's a water one, a wind one, a fire one. I don't remember if there's another one. There's a bow that you get that does certain things. You can look up at tengus that are flying and launch yourself up onto the rooftops of Tokyo. It features a bunch of different sections of Tokyo. Since the last time I played this game, they've added a lot more stuff to do in the city, which is great to see. Random activities, random side quests that vary from, go into this location and get this thing, or investigate this, or figure out the mystery of this ghost girl or whatever. There are skill trees as you level that you can put money into, or points, what are skill points, into to level up your abilities, ways to traverse, being able to dodge, stuff like that. And yeah, enemies have like weak points. You hit them, and then you grab them with the, I forgot what it's called, but the tether thing, and you yank it, and you
the core's out.
Yeah,
basically.
And yeah, anything else major I'm missing here?
I mean, no, not really. It's outside of it being, at times story centric.
Yeah, so, I didn't want to go too deep on the story, so. Yeah, it's a first-person shooter. Shoot stuff. So we both played it, and let's jump into your impressions of Ghostwire Tokyo.
Okay. Well, I own this game already on PC, and it's where I primarily played it. So I tried it on PlayStation to see what it feels like, basically. So I didn't put a lot of time into it this month just because I've already played it a lot. I wanted to get a feel for it, and I'm happy to say the way it plays on PlayStation is perfectly fine. It plays great. So I have zero complaints there. So then, going into my overall impressions of the game, I love the aesthetic style of this game. It is awesome. It's got this like kind of creepy thing going on, but it also has a lot of stuff, especially if you're into like Japanese culture at all, that you're just gonna be like geeking out over the whole time you're playing it. They do a good job of just like incorporating all those things into a bunch of activities and story points in the game, which I really like, and a lot of creativity, like the little paper dolls where you can collect the human souls that haven't been taken by the other side yet, and you go up to these like payphone booths, and they open up, and you basically use it like it's a tap credit card to deposit the souls into the system. So, and it's fun, right?
Yeah, the game's full of imagination.
Yeah, his name's K, I think. I can't remember.
KK.
The variety of quote unquote guns that they use in the game, that are interpreted as like abilities, which is a fun twist on it as well. But you have your shotgun, your sniper rifle, your machine gun, etc. It's a fun spin. I also love all the hand animations you get, especially with like the tether stuff. It's like super cool to
really
watch.
Cool looking.
Yeah.
The game's very visually stimulating.
Yeah.
When you're doing combat, obviously in any game, you're just shooting the enemy and trying to kill them. But
dude's hands.
in this, you're like
yeah,
using your hands in crazy ways and like doing a bunch of, and there's like all these particle effects stuff happening. Like it's very visually cool looking.
And then the bow for stealth and like quick kills, but ammo is limited there, so you don't want to, you can't just spam that everywhere.
There's also points you have to shoot at long range to open up certain places to be able to go into, so it's kind of a puzzle mechanic as well.
Yeah. This game does the typical open world thing, which is a plus or minus depending on how you view on it, where there are lots and lots of optional activities and collectibles to do, but progression is also locked based off of some of these things. So in order to open more of the map, you have to do some of these objectives as well. You sound like you're going to say something.
One thing I really appreciate about this game, and I figured you would appreciate as well, is though it is an open world, it holds you off into sections at first. And so you can complete all the stuff in that section. Then once you open up the next section, you can run in between those areas. But it kind of segments the open world to feel a little more structured. Yes. I know some people like you are not the biggest fans of just an open world where you can go in any direction. And so I think
I need
structure. Yeah. And so this game gives you a lot of linear structure in an open world game. And I like linear games and I like open world games. And I think it satisfied me, but I think it's good for people who might, look at an open world and go like, where's my motivation? What am I doing? I'm just going to run this way? Like maybe the game, you're here, games like go that way, you start completing everything in the zone, and now it opens up the next chunk and it feels just a little more structured for you.
Yeah, and I think that also helps prevent feeling overwhelmed in the beginning too, because you're not just like, here it all is. Good luck. It introduces you, because like eventually in the game that as you've unlocked a lot of it, stuff keeps unlocking, and so you have to backtrack and go do them anyways in those zones, and it does become very open world at that point. So it just depends on how much of a completionist you are at that juncture. Also, a lot of side quests are these little individual stories that are interesting. So like, you go to a hospital and like this person's, relative or something like that is, their ghost is like hanging out or something like that. And then you have to go in and figure out the like how you can get them to basically pass on or move on. But then they also mix that with these really creative, like supernatural events that happen where like rooms are changing when you go into them and things are glitching out. And it's just a very visually fun time, but it also makes it more entertaining than just going, because a lot of the rooms are kind of cookie cutter. It does help change that up a little bit when they're kind of throwing these like weird supernatural things at you, because otherwise it's a lot of like really plain looking rooms that are just messy because obviously the event that happened. So I do appreciate that, and also just the fact that the side quest stories aren't boring. Helps a lot.
Side quests are actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, and especially some of the ones they add later, according like to you. There's
there's way less stuff to do.
You can tell there's some horror elements that they brought because that's what they're known for originally. This game doesn't feel like that a lot, but every once in a while you do side quests, you're like, this is creepier than the rest of the game. What's going on? So, and some of them are downright on the scary side, which was a little rough for me to get through when I did those parts. And I'm not going to spoil them, but there's a school mission that's pretty nutty.
I don't think I've played that one.
Yeah, it has multiple parts. It's like a 2 or 3 part mission. It's pretty crazy, but it's very well done for sure. I just had to like force myself through it, because I am not good at that kind of stuff. And then boss fights are pretty big deals in the game, which is nice, because the one thing I kind of hate, especially in like open world games, is like bosses are just like usually just another dude that you're chasing around, and the difficulty is the chase and not the fight. This one, the fights are actually pretty rough. So
I vaguely remember, because I didn't beat it this month, but I've beaten in the past. I don't remember if it's towards the end or not. I remember feeling disappointed by a boss towards the end. I think it might have been the end boss. I don't remember. I won't talk about it.
Yeah, I haven't beaten it. So
I won't talk about it. But I remember beating the game and thinking that the boss was kind of underwhelming.
I could see that for a last boss.
So,
especially if you have so many tools.
I can't talk about it, but yeah.
But anyways, and then the story is interesting enough. I don't think it's like amazing, but it's enough to like keep your interest and keep you going forward. So, and the side cast is fun too. So I have mostly nothing but good things. There are some things like personally and they're not necessarily like rating breaking, but I do think the game suffers from the same thing like a Far Cry or a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, remake. I can't remember. The second
Rebirth.
one suffer from, which is there's too many extra activities, which is a weird complaint to have.
Yeah, and it starts feeling because it's there if you want to keep playing, which is great. There's plenty of stuff to do, but it does start feeling kind of repetitive and by the numbers. Though that they gave more like side quests to do, not just like random things to find everywhere, which is also fine.
Rebirth, yeah.
Is good because when I first played through it, I thought there was not much stuff to do, and now there's a lot of shit. But even coming back and playing on PS5 and then hopping on my PC to see where I was at when I play, well, I beat the game, but like just playing like, you know, a fully leveled character or whatever and seeing what the update affected, there's just a lot of stuff on the map still now that I thought I had cleared most of, and now I was like, oh shit, there's a lot of stuff I got to do now.
I agree. I think the side quest / story stuff is great.
Yeah.
And I keep using Rebirth as an example, but it's super similar in that way.
Yeah.
But all the little extra like collectible / like the repeatable things you do in every zone thing gets tiring after a while. So, but overall, I enjoyed it. So, enjoy it, I should say.
Oh no, I can't remember the name of the dev for this.
Tango.
Thank you. I really love Tango. I was really upset when I heard about what happened to them, but then that turned into what it is now, so it's not that big a deal. But although they don't retain this or Evil Within, I think they only got to keep those. Yeah, I think they only got to keep Hi-Fi Rush, which is cool because it was celebrated, but kind of sucks as well. But anyway, I really like everything Tango has done. I love Evil Within 2. I really liked Hi-Fi Rush. I really like this game. And so coming back to this was pretty cool because I remember when this game came out, I played through it. I enjoyed myself, so spoiler. But when I beat it, I had no reason to keep playing it. And so at some point that update came out, they added, I think they added the fire ability. I don't think that was in the game before.
I couldn't comment on that. So.
Oh, you don't have the fire?
No, I didn't play before.
Gotcha.
So I have no idea.
I could have swore they added an ability. Let me know in the comments if you know for sure what that is. But they added like abilities, side quests, all sorts of activities to do. And coming back, I noticed it instantly. So that was pretty cool because I felt like the game before was kind of vacant. So yeah, plenty of stuff to do, even if it's too much stuff to do. At least you have that option.
Oh yeah, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, for sure. It's just if you are like a completionist or like I need to complete this zone, that will fatigue you quickly if you're doing stuff that starts feeling kind of repetitive. But yeah, the game has an awesome visual style. I like the graphics. I also like the artistic style of the game. I love the light horror themes of the game. They really try to sell this game as not a horror game, even though it does have definitely some heavy horror themes and some missions that are creepier than others. You definitely see some of that pedigree of the people who made Evil Within 1 and 2. But I know they're trying to sell to people beyond, just horror fans.
Me.
Exactly. And I think they rode the line on that enough that you can play it. But yeah, I love horror stuff. So mixing basically a first-person shooter with horror themes and folklore, which I think is always a lot of fun, is a really cool mixture. I really like the design of the city. It's intricate. There's a lot of alleyways, a lot of streets, a lot of clutter. There's actually a lot of stuff on screen all over the place. So it feels like a city that people are gone, although it does.
Yeah, it feels abandoned.
It does feel like an empty game too, but so that's kind of a good decision to make. If you're like, oh, everybody just got sucked away, now we don't have to worry about NPCs except for floating cats and monsters. But yeah, the city looks really detailed. It's also really cool that it's vertical. You can go on top of like all the buildings basically, and there's some buildings that are really fucking tall that you can go on top of. Yeah. You can glide between the buildings, so like it's like a small open world, but it's bigger than it looks. And so and if you love exploring, collecting stuff, there's a lot to find in this.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of side missions. I think a a lot of them are pretty decent, especially the ones with like stories where you have to investigate something or go into a. It does this really interesting thing where it's almost like instances in an MMO or something, where like you walk up and talk to someone and then you just enter their house, and in there's like the whole mission takes place. And I think that's kind of an interesting way to do that, because in a game like that, I wouldn't expect to go in so many buildings, but you
also helps
you
them
can
handcraft those things.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and the game doesn't feel super cookie cutter in terms of like buildings and design and like going into places, although I do think some of the places like the walls and stuff look very samey.
The insides, yeah.
But like the story that's unfolding and what you're doing, I think is normally worth doing. I really like the combat. I think a lot of people are mixed on that. Whenever I've read about this game, people either really like it or they don't.
Understandable.
I've seen, because this game came out on Game Pass, and I saw people on Game Pass saying the game was boring. Beautifully boring was one thing I read. So I think they probably appreciated the way the game looked, but they thought the gameplay sucked.
The loop, yeah.
But I really like the combat. I think it's visually great. I fucking love the style. There's not a whole lot of weapons, but with the upgrades, you start getting some interesting ways to use those weapons. And so I was satisfied. And there's plenty of stuff to upgrade skill-wise when it comes to your abilities. So you definitely got stuff to work towards. Let's see. And then the visual with the wires, I forget what it's called, but that's just fucking awesome looking. I really, really like that. Especially in the middle of combat when you're shooting people and then just ripping stuff out of people. It looks really cool. The story's interesting. I have beaten this game. I think it suffers from two things, though. The story itself is good, but I think it's kind of convoluted, similar to Evil Within 1 and 2. So that seems like a Tango thing.
I would agree with that.
People still can't agree what Evil Within's about. Like most people don't even know. You watch videos and people just like speculate and theorize on what that game's about. Evil Within 2 kind of ignores the first game, except for loosely brings some of the things over. But it's like its own fucking story. It's really weird. So this game definitely tells a coherent story. You can tell what's happening, but it's like told in a very, just like I said, convoluted way that I think could have been streamlined better, could have been told better. But it's interesting enough. But I did, when I beat the game, kind of go like, I didn't play that for the story. I played that for the experience for sure. The story was fine, serviceable. That was it. Let's see. Characters are interesting, though. The game's oozing with style and flair and charm, especially, talking to floating cats and KK being kind of like a narrator.
Tanuki hiding all over the place.
Tanuki's everywhere. And then, all the monsters, I think, are really creative to see their designs, especially based off of what's the weird frog things in Japanese folklore.
Are you talking about the Kappa?
Yeah. There's missions where you have to fight those things.
Kind of annoying, but
yeah. So there's a lot of really cool stuff if you like Japanese folklore. And am I missing anything else? It's a solid game. It's a game that I wish more people, and hopefully they have by now, but I remember when it came out, I was like, more people should play this. Yeah. It's not a perfect game. It's not an amazing game. But I think it's a really solid first attempt at making a first-person shooter. I think how refreshing it is a huge benefit to the game, because you don't play a lot of first-person shooters that have this kind of style. It's like the closest thing we have to a modern-day Hexen, which is weird.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you're too young, Hexen was a first-person shooter from back in the day during the original Doom era, where you were a wizard and you like shot fireballs and shit.
Yeah.
But it was a first-person shooter. This is the closest thing that we have to that, really. So I kind of appreciate just the refreshing take, because I play a lot of first-person shooters and I'm used to shooting guns, and I will continue to do that. But if someone has a new way to make that interesting, I will take it. And this game did that, and I think they did it really well. But yeah, overall, I think the game's super solid. I really enjoyed returning to it, and I really enjoyed doing some of the newer content. I will probably continue playing this game on my PC. I guess I'll touch on the PS5 thing, though. It plays good, played smooth. The controls worked well. I felt like aiming without ADS felt kind of loose. I had to turn the sensitivity down a little bit. But then when you do aim ADS, holding left trigger, obviously, it does have a very liberal aim assist. and so it's very easy to target people. But I had to get used to it again because I play a lot of shooters on mouse and keyboard, so it's been a little bit since I had to do any fine aiming, and luckily this game didn't force me to do that. So
yeah, and it's a single player game, so like zero complaints in that regard. So
yeah, a lot of spells just kind of flow into them anyway, so it's like whatever. But yeah, I enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Nope.
Recommendations. I would recommend this to people who like Japanese culture and folklore, if that sounds interesting to you. People who are fans of horror, even though it's not a scary game. It's got
themed.
Some stuff, but it's horror themed. So if you're like me and you just like creepy shit, play it. If you like
some of the finishers, you get up close and personal with these, and they're like real creepy looking. So
if you like the idea of casting spells as your combat, this isn't like a traditional fantasy casting, but you are like shooting. It kind of reminds me of that one game, Immortals of Avium, except for I think this came out first, which is also another refreshing Hexen style first-person shooter. I wish people would make more, but none of them.
Though I didn't like the magic in that game.
None of them, are successful enough to merit a sequel. But yeah, if you like that, if you like the idea of that, I would recommend it to you because you don't have a whole lot of options, and they're both the games are pretty solid in terms of that. And what else? Collection. If you like games where you are gonna like find every little thing hidden all over the map, this game is chocked full of stuff.
So if you're an achievement hunter, maybe not so much.
Yeah, but if you're somebody who wants to spend some time just checking every nook and cranny, collecting everything, grabbing everything, leveling up everything, this game offers that. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, open world games, though slow to start in that regard, but it is an open world game, especially the deeper you get into it.
Yeah, once you unlock areas.
If that's your speed, and if you like the typical open world formula that a lot of games use, it definitely does that still. Obviously with its own flair. You already kind of brought up the Japanese and horror theming of it, which is pretty much the heavy pull, I think, that the visual style of combat, because it's very like stylized.
Yeah, the whole game is just refreshing. If you're looking for a first-person shooter that's set in Japan with Japanese folklore and using magic as your gun, there's not a whole lot of games like that. So,
yeah, I don't think I can add a whole lot more though, because it's pretty simple what it is. So,
yeah, if that doesn't sound appealing to you, if you're like, I don't want to shoot magic out of my hands in Japan against Japanese folklore stuff, you should still give it a try, but I wouldn't hard recommend it to you. Because if it just doesn't sound interesting to you, that's what it is. So,
yeah.
And
single player games, that's story driven. So,
yeah. Grades.
Okay. Is it me?
It should be me. I'm struggling though. I'm gonna give it a really, 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 really strong B+. I feel like I want to give it an A- because personally I just love the style of it, but I think it does have some weaknesses that I think a sequel would have really been able to improve upon. I was really fucking hoping for that sequel because the combat is good, but it does feel samey after a while, just having the same like couple moves. The enemies are fun to fight against, but they do get repetitive. The story is interesting, but could be better told. I think that's a weakness of Tango. Now having played a couple games where they've had issues with that. But yeah, the style's fucking awesome. The world's awesome. It's a refreshing experience. I did not feel like I wasted my time playing it because I just loved exploring and looking at everything and fighting enemies. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a really strong B+. If they improved a couple things, it would easily be in an A territory for me. But like I said, I think a sequel would have just allowed them to really fine-tune what they did in this first game and make it into an even better game. Similar to Evil Within. Evil Within 2 is fucking amazing. I love that game. And the first one was solid. So maybe I just need another sequel or attempt at it, but we're not going to get that. So B+.
Yeah. Apparently we were just in sync today. I also agree B+, though. My main hang-up is I think the storytelling... due to the open world nature of it, which is a problem I have with open world games in general, but I think the flow of storytelling really gets hampered when you're given the option to do a bunch of side crap in between story beats. So I think the storytelling could be improved upon by a lot. The parts that are there are interesting, and then I don't see it for a while. And I could obviously make the decision to skip all the side stuff, but then I'm doing myself a disservice in stats. So it's a tricky balance. I don't have a solution for that, but that does make me not love it as much. So if the storytelling felt a little better, I'd probably be in the A's because I think the game is great.
I love that it exists.
Yeah. But yeah, I would also say B+. It is a good time. Room for improvement, which is not a bad thing. So
yeah, B+ good. So anything else?
Nope.
All right, let's know in the comments what you guys think of Ghostwire Tokyo. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you not play it at all? And if you didn't, why didn't you play it? If you did play it, what's your favorite things about it? How do you feel about some of our criticisms on it when it comes to the story, repetitive natures? Do you agree with any of that? What do you think about the exploration? What do you think about the setting? What do you think about Tango and how they don't get to make another one for this? Did you want that or you don't care? And let's know everything you're thinking about in the comments below when it comes to Ghostwire Tokyo and the other two games that we talked about. But that's going to do it for this episode of Plus Club. As always, thank you for watching. And thank you for joining me for this conversation, Chevy. Thank you guys for joining us. And stay tuned. We have to do Game of the Month for Age of Wonders 4. I forgot what game we played. These episodes are delayed. I should have said at the beginning of the episode because of Thanksgiving stuff. Hopefully you guys had a good Thanksgiving if you celebrate that.
American.
Yeah, holidays. So the episodes are coming, and we'll be back on track. But until the next episode, have a good one, guys, and take it easy.